All right. Welcome back to the live show. Yes, we are back. It is currently 9:46 p.m. and of course today's date is the 25th of July 2025. How are you doing? Welcome back to the live show. All right. So, the OG, the 45th, now the 47th President of the United States, President Trump goggles with press before departing on a strip. We're going to check that out. And also, we're going to check out his conversation with the press when he landed in Scotland. All right. And after that, we're also going to check out what's been going on around the nation. All right. Welcome back to the live show. It is your boy, Genesis. And of course, you are tuned into the Genesis show. Are you ready? First of all, thank God. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. First things first, we got to thank God for his love and his strength. That's for sure. And also, God bless America. And like I always say, it's not parties before country. It is country before party. So whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, doesn't matter. As long as you love America, that's what matters. All right, here we go.
President, good morning. Good morning, how are you? Can we ask you about the lawsuit that the DOJ just filed?
Those young people, they just said too much winning. Too much winning, sir, they know it. And it is a lot of winning. We had the best 6 months ever. We're now heading to Scotland. I'm meeting with the Prime Minister of UK. Some of you are going, I guess, and a lot of you aren't. Are you going? Huh? Well, you got to get moving. That's a good one. That's going to be a good one. So we have great numbers we just announced. I don't have to go over it because you've seen them, but we have great economic numbers. The deal with Japan is amazing. Give us 550 billion, and we have totally open access into Japan. Those numbers are great. I mean, the kids actually just said very, very cute, actually. I walked up, they said, sir, there's too much winning. They picked up on a little routine, you know. Go ahead.
Mr. President, can I ask you about the DOJ lawsuit that was filed yesterday against New York City and Mayor Adams? In the lawsuit, they named the CBP officer that was off duty that was shot. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's DOJ going against New York, but we're going against a lot of other places too. We want to bring safety to our cities, but that's going to be a pretty routine filing with other cities too. As you know, we've started numerous lawsuits with other cities. We want to bring safety. We've got to get the criminals out, and we're doing it in record numbers.
Sorry,
Is the U.S. giving up on Gaza in negotiations?
Yeah, Gaza, they pulled out of Gaza. They pulled out in terms of negotiating. It was too bad. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad.
Are you done with
And it got to be to a point where you're gonna have to finish the job. They really they asked for things. Don't forget, we got a lot of hostages out. So now we're down to the final hostages, and they know what happens after you get the final hostages. And basically, because of that, they really didn't want to make a deal. I saw that. So they pulled out, and they're gonna have to fight, and they're gonna have to clean it up. You're gonna have to get rid of it.
Ghislaine Maxwell. What are you hoping Todd Blanche gets out of his meetings with Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, I don't know about the meeting. I know it's taking place, and he's a fantastic man. He's a great attorney, and people should really focus on how well the country's doing, or they should focus on the fact that Barack Hussein Obama led a coup, or they should focus on the fact that Larry Summers from Harvard, that Bill Clinton, who you know very well, and lots of other friends, really close friends of Jeffrey Summers, should be spoken about. Because, you know, Jeffrey Epstein should be spoken about. And they should speak about them, because they don't talk about them They talk about me. I have nothing to do with the guy.
Are you considering,
Easy.
will you do any business deals with the UK?
Yeah, I'm going to meet with the Prime Minister right now. We're going to be over there in about 6 hours. We're meeting with the Prime Minister tonight. We're going to be talking about the trade deal that we made and maybe even improve it.
Are you considering clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, sir?
Right outside the gates of the White House. Are you concerned about that?
I think it's terrible, and we'll have them removed immediately. We do remove it. We've got to get the mayor to run this city properly. This city has to be run. You know, I have the right to take it over, and I think it's terrible. Where are they? Where did you see them?
This right outside of on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Near the Treasury.
Right across this block here in the Treasury. Have you heard about Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine
Are you still disappointed in President
Putin? Pardon or clemency for Ghislaine
Well, I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to say is that Todd is a great attorney, but you ought to be speaking about Larry Summers. You ought to be speaking about some of his friends that are hedge fund guys. They're all over the place. You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to the island.
Do you maintain you did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot. All you have to do is take a look at the dossier, the fake dossier. Everything's fake with that administration. Everything's fake with the Democrats. Take a look at what they just found about the dossier. Everything is fake. They're a bunch of sick people. Where did you see the people laying outside?
Right across this block there, parks there.
We'll take care of it.
Are you hoping to meet with President Putin? What are the alternative methods to bring hostages back?
Well, we got a lot of them out, and it's I've always said those last 10 or 20 are going to be the toughest, because Hamas knows what happens when they don't have any bargaining chip. And they really broke a deal. They broke a deal, and you're going to have to do what you have to do right now. It's a terrible thing. And I always do that. I said, when you get down to the last one, they're not going to be able to make it.
And would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's
It's
cooperating?
something I haven't thought about. It's really something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out?
Why has the dollar fallen so much, and are you concerned about that?
Well, you know, I'm a person that likes a strong dollar, but a weak dollar makes you a hell of a lot more money. I hate to tell you, I don't know if you study it, but I study it.
I went to the same
And if you
school
look at the yen,
I went to Penn and York, so I know this.
you understand.
Absolutely.
Oh, you did go.
I went to York, yes,
Well,
sir.
you're a smarter guy than I even thought, and I know you're smart. So, when we have a strong dollar, one thing happens, it sounds good. But you don't do any tourism, you can't sell tractors, you can't sell trucks, you can't sell anything. It is good for inflation, that's about it. And we have no inflation. We've wiped out inflation. But it's an interesting question. So I will never say I like a low currency, but you remember the battles I had with the yuan, with China and with Japan, Japan being the yen. They always wanted a weak currency. They're trying to get a weak currency now. Now, it doesn't sound good, but you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar. Not a weak dollar, but a weaker dollar than you do with a strong dollar. And the first people that are going to notice it are the manufacturers of trucks and various other things. Like, look at Caterpillar, how well they're doing now. When you have a strong dollar, you can't sell anything. It's only good for inflation, and it's good psychologically. It makes you feel good. But with that being said, I love strong dollars. But you make your money with a currency. And I had so many different fights with President Xi, between Japan and China. All they want to do is have a weak currency. They're always fighting for a weak currency. And that's how they really dominated over the years. So when I see it down there, I don't lose sleep over it, let's put it that way. In fact, sometimes I go to sleep very happy. You understand? Do you agree with me?
I agree with a lot of what you said, Mr. President. Do you think it makes it any easier to impose your tariffs with that lower dollar? Because
I think it makes it easier even for tariffs, yeah. And it makes the tariffs worth much more. and it's easier to pay off debt, and it's easier to get a low interest rate. There are a lot of good things. It's hard to explain to people. The headline was, oh, Trump wants a weak dollar. Not a weak dollar. You take a look at the history of China over the last 20 years. All they do is fight for a weak currency. Look at Japan when they were really doing well. They had a very weak currency. So, to me, I just say thank you very much. It is.
President, what's your comment on coming up on a Gaza?
Yeah. Well, the Gaza situation, I said this was going to happen when you get down to the last 10 or 20. We got a lot of hostages out. We took them out in numbers that nobody believed, a lot of them. And I said, when you get down to 10 or 20, I don't think Hamas is going to make a deal because that means they have no protection. And basically, that's what happened. Hamas didn't want to make a deal. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be hunted down.
Secondary sanctions sooner on Russia. Are you closer today to secondary sanctions?
We're looking at that whole situation. It could be that we'll have to put secondary sanctions.
Sooner than 50 days.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you think it's counterproductive?
Who you with? Who you with?
Do you think it was counterproductive for France to say that they would recognize the Palestinian state? Macron said that yesterday.
Look, he's a different kind of a guy. He's okay. He's a team player, pretty much. But here's the good news. What he says doesn't matter.
So on the Palestinian
It's not going to change it.
on the Palestinian state, do you think that impedes progress?
Well, he made a statement, Macron. His statement doesn't carry any weight. He's a very good guy. I like him, but that statement doesn't carry weight.
How worthy of a trade deal with the EU?
I would say that we have a 50-50 chance, maybe less than that, but a 50-50 chance of making a deal with the EU. And it'll be a deal where they have to buy down their tariff, because they're right now at 30%. And they'll have to buy them down, maybe, or they could leave them the way they are. But they want to make a deal very badly. I would have said we have a 25% chance with Japan, and they kept coming back and we made a deal, and the deal is, don't forget, Japan's putting up $550 billion.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of money. And also paying tariffs. The biggest part of the Japan deal, and maybe we get this with EU, maybe we don't, is that we have the right to go in and trade. We have the right. They've totally opened Japan to just to the U.S. That's, to me, the biggest part of the deal.
Well, that was higher.
You said repeatedly you would like to see further nuclear arms reductions between the United States
I would
and
like
Russia.
to see that.
But the New START treaty is expiring in about 6 months, and it cannot be legally extended.
That's a problem. That's a problem for the world.
Negotiate a new one.
It's a problem for the world. You know, we have restrictions, and they have restrictions, as you know, on nuclear. That's not an agreement you want expiring. We're starting to work on that. But that is a big problem for the world. When you take off nuclear restrictions, that's a big problem.
Well, that was higher.
I think that Jerome Powell, I think we had a very good meeting. Forgetting about the building, that's out of control. But I think we had a very good meeting on this subject. And he said to me, now I don't know if he's going to say this on Thursday or when he said this, but he said to me very strongly, the country is doing well. He said, congratulations, the country is doing really well. And I got that to mean that I think he's going to start recommending oil rates.
How do you think that the Supreme
The country really is doing well.
Mr. President, how do you think that
Record business.
President Thank you, Mr. President. How do you think that the Supreme Court ruling that benefited you on presidential immunity would apply to former President Barack Obama and what you're accusing him of doing?
It probably helps him a lot. Probably helps him a lot, the immunity ruling. But it doesn't help the people around him at all. But it probably helps him around. Now, he's done criminal acts, no question about it. But he has immunity, and it probably helps him out. He owes me big. Obama owes me big.
What are the details in the UK trade agreement you're hoping to fine tune with the Prime Minister?
This week we want to talk about certain aspects which is going to be good for both countries. It's more fine-tuning, and also we're going to do a little celebrating together because, you know, we got along very well. UK's been trying to make a deal with us for like 12 years and haven't been able to do it. We got it done. He's doing a very good job, good Prime Minister, good guy. We really get along very well. So we're going to meet at Turnberry and we're going to meet at Aberdeen. So two beautiful places.
Is there wiggle room in steel and aluminum if they were to budge on digital services tax?
Say it?
Is there any wiggle room on steel and aluminum in exchange for any budge on digital services tax?
Not a lot, because if I do it for one, I have to do it for all. So on that, steel and aluminum, not a lot.
Mr. President, can you speak to Netanyahu about aid drops?
Sorry, go ahead.
Netanyahu about allowing aid drops in Gaza?
I speak to him, but I can't tell you what I spoke to him. But it was sort of disappointing. Although I told you, I told you, when you get down to those last 20 hostages, you get down to that last 10 or 20, it's going to be very hard for Hamas to make a deal because they lose their shield, they lose their cover. We got a lot of them out. A lot of them. And we took a lot of bodies out too. You know, so many of the parents said, please get my son's body back. And we're able to do that. We got a lot of people out, live and people that are not alive. But it was very important to the parents to get their son back, even though they knew their son was dead. I think they will do that.
Mr. President!
Turnberry is rated the #1 course in the world. I think they'll do that. No, I'm not going to. It's not about that. I'm going to see it for the first time in years. We were there the last time we went. That's pretty good, right? It's the best resort in the world, I think, Turnberry, and it's one of the greatest courses in the world. We're going to see it. We're going to have, I believe, dinner at Turnberry with the Prime Minister. Then we're going to go to the oil capital of Europe, which is Aberdeen, and we're going to have lunches there. We're going to have a good time. I think the Prime Minister and I get along very well. You're going to see the Scottish later too, right? I am. What's that about? Well, we have a lot of things in Scotland. I have a lot of love. My brother was born in Scotland, and he's a good man. The Scottish leader is a good man. So I look forward to meeting him. That's all set up, right?
Mr. President,
Tariff Day is exactly 1 week from today, August the 1st. What do you expect between now and next Friday as it relates to your deadline?
When you say tariff, not tariff.
Tariff.
No, tariff day.
No, Tariff Day.
Well, most of the deals are finished right now. They're finished because we're just going to charge a certain tariff. A lower tariff that I could get. I don't want to hurt countries. But we're going to send a letter out sometime during the week. And it's basically going to say you're going to pay 10%, you're going to pay 15%, you're going to pay maybe less. I don't know. But Australia was great. They opened up beef yesterday for the first time ever. And they did it. We didn't know about it. We asked them to do it, and all of a sudden we got a word that they wanted. So obviously they're looking to do something. But Australia. So August 1st is going to come, and we will have most of our deals finished, if not all. We haven't really had a lot of luck with Canada. I think Canada could be one where they'll just pay tariffs. Not really a negotiation. We're working very diligently with Europe, the EU, which covers a lot of territory, a lot of countries. And that's the big one right now. We have the confines of the deal with China. We haven't really, we don't have a deal with Canada. We haven't been focused on it.
Mr. President, that will bring some certainty to the financial markets.
Oh yeah. When those letters go out, there's a page and a half. That means they have a deal, it's done, they pay that tariff, and that is a contract essentially. And they can come into the country, they're going to pay a tariff. I'm going to keep it minimal, I'm going to keep it, I'm not looking to hurt countries. I could do that too, but I'm not looking to do that. But when that letter goes out, that's the deal. And we'll be sending maybe close to 200 of those letters out. Don't forget, we have a lot of countries. So we're going to be sending out almost 200 of those letters. But once those letters go out, there we have a deal. Now, we sent one to Japan, we sent one to EU, and they came back and negotiated a deal. I think EU has got a pretty good chance of making a deal.
With all of that revenue coming in, Mr. President,
A lot of money.
a lot of money.
Our country was a dead country. It was a dead country 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And don't you feel it?
Mr. President, with all of that revenue coming in, tens of billions of dollars, do you think there's the possibility of a rebate to the American public in terms of all of that money?
We're thinking about that, actually. We have so much money coming in. We're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in from tariffs that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
Are you considering a meeting with Putin?
You know, they're being blocked by Hamas. They're being blocked by a lot of people. People don't know this, and we didn't certainly get any acknowledgement or thank you, but we contributed $60 million to food and supplies and everything else. We hope the money gets there because, you know, that money gets taken, the food gets taken. We're going to do more, but we gave a lot of money. We gave a majority of the money, and the sad part is that no other country other than us gives anything.
Have you spoken to Michael Walkley about running for that North Carolina?
I have, yeah.
And will he run, do you think?
I think he will.
What can be done?
Are you from North Carolina?
My father lives there.
He'll be a good candidate.
What can be done to bring more teachers, more educators into the classrooms to alleviate the teacher shortage across the country?
We're doing that, and we're doing it strongly. What we're doing is moving education back to the states. The states will run education. When they do it, you're going to have the best education in the world. We'll have 35 or 40 states where it will be as good as Sweden, Norway, Denmark, you know, the top 5 or 6 countries.
How do you attract the top teachers to get into the class?
We're going to get them. We already have them. When we go back to the states with education, you're going to see a big difference.
Mr. President, would you consider clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? Is that on the table?
What is that?
Would you consider clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? Is that on the table?
I can't talk about that now because, you know, it's a very sensitive interview going on. Todd Blanche is a great gentleman. He's a great man. He's a great lawyer. He's got a great heart. But he's over there now. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I certainly can't talk about pardons.
Can you trust what she's telling him? She's a convicted trafficker who's eager to get out of prison.
Well, you know, he's a professional lawyer. I think he's been through things like this before. But, you know, you should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein. I sure as hell didn't. Thank you very much. All I wanted to do is lower interest rates. You know, we have the hottest country in the world. We had a dead country 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country in the world. All I want him to do is lower interest rates because that'll take care of the housing. The housing's a little bit slower than everything else. Everything we're 100% on, but the housing, because his rate is too high. If he lowers it, you're going to see a housing boom on top of everything. We've got the hottest country in the world. Thank you.
Mr. President, have you seen South Park episode making fun of you?
I never watched South Park. I don't know anything about South Park. I never watched South Park.
Look at my shoes.
even on a physical specimen, it's not going to work. He's got to go into another line. But I've watched him lift 350-pound men over his head and throw him out of the ring. No, he was the real deal. He was MAGA all the way. He said, I wish I got to. He said, I've always loved you. You know, we've always been friends. But he wasn't a political guy. And in the last 3 years, I'd say, he became really political. And he said, I'm so angry at myself for not doing it earlier. He was happy. But you know, he took a beating. When you look at the life that they live, he would wrestle sometimes 200 times a year. Think of that. I say, what do you wrestle every weekend? No, he says, sometimes you wrestle every night. And it's hard to believe. But being a friend, I got to see his life a little bit. And his knees were in trouble, his back was in trouble. He was in such trouble, but he was great. He was a great man, he was an incredible showman, and he was really a great friend. And he was a great friend to MAGA.
Mr. President, you signed an executive order to help clean up the streets of America yesterday, help get the homeless people into treatment. Can you talk about why this is a common sense approach to help make everybody safer?
Well, it is, and right outside we have some tents. I'm getting rid of them right now. You can't do that, especially in Washington, D.C. I talk to the mayor about it all the time. I said, you got to get rid of the tents. You can't have it. When leaders come to see me to make a trade deal for billions and billions and even trillions of dollars, and they come into this tents outside of the White House, we can't have that. It doesn't sound nice, but you can't have it. It's going to happen, but it should have happened 3 months ago. It's going to happen. Well, Harvard wants to settle, but I think Columbia handled it better. Harvard wants to settle, but you know, they have a very good judge. They have a judge who will almost absolutely rule in their favor, even though it's our case all the way. But they have a very good Obama-appointed judge, and so they'll get a little kick out of that. But ultimately, we win their case. And the bottom line is we're not going to give any more money to Harvard. We're not giving any more money. They were getting $5 billion and $6 billion, $7.2 billion. We want to spread the wealth to other schools. Hello, everybody. You know our ambassador to Scotland, and it's great to be in Scotland. We are going to be meeting with the Prime Minister, I guess tomorrow, a little bit tomorrow and the next day. And we're going to do some great things. Do you have any questions?
Von der Leyen on Sunday to discuss the EU trade deal. Are you meeting with Ursula von der Leyen?
I'll be meeting with the EU on Sunday, and we'll be working on a deal. We'll see if we make a deal. Ursula will be here, highly respected woman, so we look forward to that. That'll be good.
On Gaza.
What media executives are you meeting with while you're here? We'll have numerous executives that we're meeting with. We're going to be meeting with a lot of people. A lot of people. We'll be staying at Turnberry, and then we're going to Aberdeen, which is the oil capital of Europe, actually.
Mr. President, can you explain what is missing in the UK deal that you have to work out?
Nothing. We I think it's more of a celebration than a workout. It's a great deal for both, and we're going to have a meeting on other things other than the deal. The deal is concluded.
So on Gaza, French President Emmanuel Macron just said that France will officially recognize the Palestinian state. What's your comment on
Well,
this?
that's what he does. I mean, you know, that's fine if he does that. That's up to him. It's not up to me. I'm with the United States. I'm not with France.
And about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, we hear very dire warnings about
I think it's terrible what happened with Hamas. They tapped everybody along, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what response Israel has to that. But it's getting to be that time.
On the EU deal, you said there's a 50-50 chance of a deal. What is left to work out? What are the final 6 points?
With the European Union, I think we have a good 50-50 chance. That's a lot.
What are the sticking points that you
Well, I
still
don't
need
want to tell
work
you what the sticking points are, but the sticking points are having to do with maybe 20 different things. You don't want to listen to all of them. Yes.
What advice are you going to have for our Prime Minister about free speech? It's very important to people here.
Well, it is, but I like your Prime Minister. He's slightly more liberal than I am, as you've probably heard, but he's a good man. He got a trade deal done. And, they've been working on this deal for 12 years. He got it done. It's a good deal. It's a good deal for the UK. So, no, I'll be seeing him tomorrow, I guess, tomorrow evening. And this is our wonderful ambassador, as you know. He's doing a good job. He's a very, very successful man. He'll be doing a good job.
The Royal and Ancient thing is going to have to Is that something you're going to ask the British Prime Minister for help with?
The best course anywhere in the world is Turnberry. The players all want to be at Turnberry. Everybody wants to be at Turnberry, so we'll see how that works out.
But the infrastructure needs to be improved. Is that something
the infrastructure of the course is good. In fact, the Royal and Ancient, I don't know if you're aware of this, they spent a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably into the millions of dollars, and they've laid all the wire for television and for electricity under the holes of Turnberry, so that when the Open gets there, they have it all done. They paid for that.
But we're talking about roads, the railway station, that sort of thing. That seems like a bigger thing.
I don't know what you can do. All I can tell you is that it would be the best place anywhere in your country to have. There's no place like it. There's no place like Turnberry. It's the best, probably the best course in the world. And I would say Aberdeen is right up there also. Aberdeen's great. And while we're here, I'll be with my son, and he's going to cut a ribbon for the second course at Aberdeen, which is just about equal to the first. I mean, it's going to be a battle. It's, as you know, they're very highly rated. And the second course is great. Sean Connery helped get me the permits. If it weren't for Sean Connery, we wouldn't have those great courses.
Were you briefed on your name appearing in the Epstein files ever?
No, I was never.
What are you hoping Todd Blanche interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell? What are you hoping that they get out of that?
I really have really nothing to say about it. She is being talked to by a very smart man, by a very good man, Todd Blanche. And I don't know anything about the conversation. I haven't really been following it. A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. But a lot of people have asked about pardons. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons. Todd will come back with whatever he's got. You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing. You should be talking about, if you're going to talk about that, talk about Clinton, talk about the former president of Harvard, talk about all of his friends, talk about the hedge fund guys that were with him all the time. Don't talk about Trump. What you should be talking about is the fact that we have the greatest 6 months in the history of a presidency, according to a lot of people. And we had an amazing 6 months. And this is sort of an example of it. Now we're meeting with the European Union, we're also meeting with, as you know, the head of UK, Prime Minister, and I look forward to that. But we're meeting, in terms of a deal, we're meeting with the European Union, and that would be actually the biggest deal of them all if we make it.
Did you ask House Republican leaders to not vote on the resolution about
I was never involved in that. I'm focused on making deals. I'm not focused on conspiracy theories that you are. I watch you people, it's so sad. You ought to talk about the success of our country instead of this nonsense you talk about over and over again.
You've done an amazing job on illegal migration. A lot of people here are very worried about the situation. It's record numbers.
Well, I say two things to Europe. Stop the windmills. You're ruining your countries. I really mean it. It's so sad. You fly over and you see these windmills all over the place, ruining your beautiful fields and valleys and killing your birds. And if they're stuck in the ocean, ruining your oceans. Stop the windmills. And there's a couple of things I could say, but on immigration, you better get your act together. You're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. And we, as you know, last month we had nobody entering our country. Nobody. Shut it down. And we took out a lot of bad people that got there with Biden. Biden was a total stiff. And what he allowed to happen, but you're allowing it to happen to your countries. And you got to stop this horrible invasion that's happening to Europe, many countries in Europe. Some people, some leaders have not let it happen. And they're not getting the proper credit they should. I could name them to you right now, but I'm not going to embarrass the other ones. But stop. This immigration is killing Europe. And the other thing, stop the windmills, killing the beauty of your countries. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. We're going to have a little session today on the ambassadors. It's a group of people that were selected. They're doing very well. They're very far along in the process. And they're going to each introduce themselves and talk about the country that they're going to. They might say a little bit about themselves also, because people are very interested in that. We're also going to sign right now some executive orders. And Will, if you would come forward?
Yes, sir.
I'll start thinking about signing them, right?
A few things for you today, sir. First, we have a pardon for Devon Archer. Devon Archer was a former business partner of the Biden family. He was prosecuted relating to a fraud investigation, but notably the tone and tenor of that prosecution changed dramatically after he began to cooperate with congressional investigators and serve as a witness against Hunter Biden and the Biden family. We believe that was an injustice, and therefore we're asking you to pardon him.
And many people have asked me to do this. I think he was treated very unfairly. And I looked at the records, studied the records, and he was a victim of a crime, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to undo that. All right. That's Devon Archer. Congratulations, Devon.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct? Would you
Yes, sir.
say? All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, this we'll put everything in the public eye.
Is anybody going to look? What about you? You going to look? And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden. Okay?
Next, sir, we have an executive order for your attention. We've taken action against a number of law firms that have participated either in the weaponization of government, the weaponization of the legal.
Where are we? Nope. This isn't where we should be. All right. Diary of a Father. All right, here we go.
Hello, everybody. You know our ambassador to Scotland, and it's great to be in Scotland. We are going to be meeting with the Prime Minister, I guess tomorrow, a little bit tomorrow and the next day. And we're going to do some great things. Do you have any questions?
Okay, so we've been here. We've been here, ladies and gentlemen. All righty. Let
Now that Tulsi's blown the lid off Russiagate, Democrats have identified a new scandal of the century.
Over the last several months, the Justice Department dispatched hundreds, if not thousands, of agents to comb through the Epstein files and flag any mention of Donald Trump. Now we learn in May, Pam Bondi informed Trump that his name is included in those files.
Schiff's making things up again. He's trying to make Epstein the new Russia, running the same kind of innuendo campaign all over again. Don't take the bait. We've been reporting Trump knew Epstein for more than a decade. They had a falling out. If the government had Epstein dirt on Trump, they would have released it in 2016, 2020, or 2024. A lawyer for the Justice Department just met with Ghislaine Maxwell today in her prison cell to hear what she has to say about other clients. It was such a powerful meeting, they're going to meet again. Democrats better be careful what they wish for. The truth is, Tulsi struck a nerve because late last night, all the president's men came crawling out of the woodwork to cry on CNN. Clapper says he did nothing wrong, but he's still lawyering up. Now he knows what it's like.
So what will you do if they come after you? What is your plan?
Well, I'll lawyer up, I suppose. Already have.
You've already hired attorneys in case of in anticipation that this Trump Justice Department could try to prosecute you.
We've had sort of perpetual attorneys since I left the government in 2017.
Comey's main man, McCabe, also chimed in to claim the FBI said Russia never affected the election.
At no time did we ever conclude that the Russians succeeded in entering voting machines and changing the vote tally.
Well, I wonder how everybody got this idea then.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
Russia hacked the election.
The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, I mean, they've all said this. So to believe that that's wrong, you have to believe they're all involved in an elaborate conspiracy to get Donald Trump.
And they were. And the same pundits who were wrong about the Russia hoax don't want it investigated. The report said Putin had no preference who won, Hillary or Trump. Both were going to be bad for Russia. He just wanted to create chaos. Now, after the media called Trump a traitor for 4 years, suddenly calling the president a traitor is dangerous.
I think it's a real problem for the country to have a sitting president to say that you are to arrest or prosecute a president. His predecessor has never happened in American history. And to get people all geared up, all you need is some nut to feel I should make a citizen's arrest. I think it is very dangerous for the country.
Bracket News editor-in-chief Matt Taibbi. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you?
I'm great. So a lot of people playing defense all of a sudden, shoes on the other foot. How explosive are these documents that Tulsi Gabbard released?
They're extremely explosive. I think all of us who've been covering this story for years thought there would be at least something in the documents pointing to the idea that Putin preferred Trump and aspired to help him get elected, but there's literally nothing there. And the key piece of evidence is a fragment of one sentence that was whispered to Brennan himself by a Russian defector, and that was rejected by the CIA twice.
I mean, it's just crazy that that became the cornerstone piece of intelligence that was used to tell the country that this election was stolen. And it was throughout these, I think like 20 CIA and FBI agents were interviewed for this. And many people say they were strong-armed into putting things in there that violated all standards.
Yes, in fact, the thing that I just mentioned, the authors of the report who were 5 CIA agents who were handpicked by Brennan to author this thing. They were his favorite people. They tried to leave out that key detail, and Brennan personally reinserted it. Then they came to him and said, we do not have concrete evidence that Putin preferred Trump. And he read them the Ryan Act and told them it had to go back in there. And when they confronted him about the Steele dossier and its flaws, he said, yes, but it rings true.
It rings true, and that was the assessment of the top intelligence officer in the country. Where does this go now? Do you expect, or are you hearing about more revelations?
Well, I know that there are more documents. There are more documents from the same source that was released yesterday. There are also some more documents from another investigation that may or may not come out. But I don't know the timing of that. However, it's pretty clear that what's going on is that they're trying to prepare actual criminal cases, that there are referrals being made. And you heard James Clapper talking about being lawyered up. I think that's probably going on universally right now.
Right. All right. Well, it's funny how these things kind of boomerang on parties, isn't it? Matt, great reporting. Everybody check out his reportage. I sound so smart when I say reportage, but go check it out. Thank you.
Sounds great.
All right. The OG was at the Federal Reserve yesterday.
Here to weigh in, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Now, Trump says the cost went from 2.5 to 3.1. It's the overall project, apparently. Powell disputed that. But the whole point that President Trump was trying to make is this guy's holding up our interest rates, God bless him. But it doesn't seem like they can even manage this sprawling project. They're like, oh, the windows are expensive. They're blast-proof windows, billions of dollars.
It's unbelievable. They are losing so much money. The way they're managing everything is so bad. And then they spend $3 billion. And I love the name, by the way, the Fed Mahal. I mean, how great is that for Taj Mahal? It's so funny.
In the end, President Trump said, well, he thinks that Powell will do the right thing. But there's a rate perhaps decision from the board coming up shortly.
They're meeting next week. So, the president's trying to be, come on, do the right thing. You got to remember that every point saves the United States of America $360 billion. So cut a half and at least give America $180 billion. Come on. I mean, that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. Just cajole the guy into saving us only $180 billion a year.
It was a classic Trump move, though, going over to the building. It was like The Apprentice. I thought someone's about to get fired here. But he was asked if he would stop criticizing Powell at one point.
Are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. Other than that, what can I tell you?
Okay, he's having some fun there, but we don't have to belabor that point. We'll see what happens. I want to talk about the trade deals, big deals, Indonesia, Philippines, and then Japan, which is a very big trading partner. Japan has its own trade deficit, pretty big one, but not with us, about $64.9 billion trade surplus with the United States. There's so many interesting things about this, but the $550 billion investment in the United States, I asked Secretary Bessent this last night, how will that actually be spent? Because American manufacturers are like, we just want American businesses here. We're not interested in helping the Japanese set up more businesses here. We want American companies and American workers.
Exactly. That's the misunderstanding. This is not Toyota investing in America. This is literally the Japanese government giving Donald Trump $550 billion and says, go fix whatever you need to fix. I'll give you an example. Generic antibiotics, right? We don't make antibiotics in America. They're made in China. How are we going to fix that? Because China sells them for half. So no one's going to go into that business. Donald Trump can take the Japanese money and say, let's go build a factory. Let's get an American company to operate it, right? We'll lease them the factory. And if they don't make much money, so what? That's the beauty of this deal. This is them putting $550 billion. That's why Donald Trump calls it a signing bonus, right? They cut their tariff costs by giving Donald Trump the money to invest in semiconductors, shipbuilding, critical minerals, pharmaceuticals, right? Critical minerals and rare earths. He can build anything he wants to make America powerful. I mean, if you want to talk about tariffs working, Is there a better way to say he gets $550 billion to invest in America the way Donald Trump wants to do it? I mean, that is awesome.
And when we look at what's happened with China, for instance, I mean, China is having real problems with its manufacturing right now. They don't have anyone to sell to. I mean, article after article after article. So some would argue that you don't really need a deal with China. I know Trump is a deal maker. He likes doing deals. I know you like doing deals. But why just not have the tariffs in place? Why do we need a deal with China? They need to sell to us, right? They need to sell to us more than, really we need to sell to them. I don't trust that they'd buy a lot of our products, frankly.
I mean, we didn't feel it, right? Remember when it was 145%? Yeah. Did you feel it? But I tell you what, their factories were closing all over the place. So Donald Trump understands he doesn't need to do a deal with China. The idea is we've got 30% tariff on them for this term, 25 from his last term, so they're paying 55%. And you know what he's thinking? That's pretty good. Let's just...
What about the argument that's being passed on to the consumers? I've heard other people say there's not enough being said to dispute that at some point down the road, let's say there's not a deal. I frankly don't want a deal. I think it's working really well now, but I understand there probably would be a deal. But would those costs at some point be passed on to the consumers?
I don't know how many months have to go by before the 2.7% inflation is actually 2.7% inflation, right? We put 30% on China. Why? When the experts, these famous experts who say we're going to get inflation, where is it? You know where it is? It's nowhere, because the Chinese need to employ their people. So they eat it because they need to keep selling. They need to keep selling. And, at some point, we need to balance ourselves, get our trade deficit down, get rid of them selling to Vietnam, who sells to us.
Yeah, He's done that. Transshipping is a disaster for American companies.
In every one of our deals, we say if it's got these other markets' content, 40%. 40%. So Donald Trump is on it. And that's why he knows he's going to make $700, $800, maybe $900 billion. Because if you put 40% on all of that stuff, this is going to the bottom line of America. Who paid for tax on tips and no tax on overtime? Tariffs.
And this will be American workers, not a glut of foreign workers, not a glut of H-1B visas, American workers and American companies.
Right. This is Donald Trump chooses the deal. He chooses the deal. And then we go implement that deal. And the Japanese are saying, in order to buy our tariff down from 25 to 15, here's $550
car
billion.
Companies, car companies, I heard some grumbling from some of our friends over at some of the big car companies.
Well, when you're so in love with it, charging the other guy 25% and you only charge him 15. By the way, before April 2nd, we were charging them 2. So now it's 15, and, they're just not as happy as they were when it was 25.
I love tariffs.
I get it, but I love tariffs too.
I love tariffs.
You and me, we'll go out together.
Sorry, I love
and
tariffs.
We'll get tariff will pay for dinner.
I love tariffs. Mr. Secretary.
Lutnick. Oh, man. Lutnick, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. Jesse.
Democrat strategist James Carville joins us now. How are you doing, Carville?
Well, I'm good. Tell my wife hello, because I know she always watches the show. I'm 60 miles east of her, so hi, honey.
Okay, well, she's got great taste. So, Carville, you have all been saying that the Democrats need a real man, a masculine guy, someone who's authentic, maybe drops a few F-bombs. What do you think about President Hunter Biden?
Oh, look, I mean, everybody in the world is talking about Epstein, and Fox is still talking about Biden's memory. I mean, I so long ago, I can't remember it, to tell you the truth, Jesse.
Well, do you want to talk about Epstein? Do you?
I don't mind. I don't mind talking about Epstein. I don't mind talking about anything. But Hunter Biden is trying.
We'll get to Epstein. We'll get to Epstein. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. Okay, go ahead. I don't take any offense what Hunter said about me. I don't think George Clooney does either. I mean, this guy's emotional. He's hurt for his daddy. I completely understand that. He's an Irish clan, just like me. I mean, I don't take any offense at what
All right. Well, I mean, you guys have been asking for some real man to take this nomination and stick it to the Republicans. What about Gavin Newsom? Is Gavin Newsom man enough to be president?
Well, I don't want to say, I don't know if we're man. I don't mind having. I love Gretchen Whitmer. I think she's tough. She's to the point. I think I don't care about gender. But I want somebody that can talk definitively and clearly. I had Governor Wes Moore on my podcast this week. I don't know how you can be much more of a real man than Governor Wes is. And
I like Wes Moore
all over the party. But I don't I don't care if it's a male or female, but I want somebody to talk in clear, definitive language and communicate with people in a simple, elegant way. And that's what the Democratic Party needs.
Do you really think you should run another woman? You guys are 0-2 with women.
I don't know. Democratic voters are going to decide that. I think the country wanted change in 2024, and Harris, for whatever reason, refused to say she would change the direction of Biden. I think that cost the election. But I don't think a person's gender. We're going to nominate women going forward, and as we well should. All right. I don't have anything, but what I want, if it's a male or a female, I want them to be able to talk about things and communicate in a very direct way, and we just haven't done that here for a while.
No, I agree. I think that's what you need too. Now, because you brought up Epstein, right. I wasn't even going to bring Epstein up, but because you did, you, James Carville, a Clinton guy, think that the Democrats should be begging for the release of the Epstein files?
I don't really know. I don't know what's behind it. There's all kind of problems. I mean, I'm looking and, where this is going, but I don't know what files or what do you redact, the grand jury testimony. I don't know what all of this means, but there's obviously some things here that we don't know. I suspect that they'll come out. I don't know what they are, but the story is not going away. That's pretty clear. It's just not going anywhere. But do I know where it is? You were talking about Paramount and how they collapse. The biggest cables in the world is Columbia University. They're trying to reinstate the glory days of the Dunning School. I've never seen such cowards in my life. I never said yes. My hat's off to Harvard. At least they have guts.
Yeah, they just settled for Trump for about $200 million, and now they're going to be nice to Jews.
That's
okay.
That's going to be.
Well, but what about Colbert?
They should be nice to everybody, without settling anything.
Well, you mentioned Paramount. What about Colbert? You guys are throwing a funeral for a guy. It's one guy lost his job. He's making $20 million a year. Why do Democrats keep talking about this guy?
I don't know, and I don't know the economics of it. I know some people, some friends that have something to do with late night TV, and people just don't watch it like they used to. And, the media landscape changes. When I grew up, everybody watched the news at 5:30 Central, and who every news anchor was. It all changes, and I don't know if it was driven by anything. It might have been a purely economic decision. I don't know that, to tell you the truth, Jesse.
Okay.
I know that you guys make a lot of money, and Rupert Murdoch, he's my new hero, man. This guy's got more guts than the entire Democratic Party put together. Go Rupert, go Cat, go.
Let's hope we keep the money and everybody gets paid.
I never thought I'd say that.
All right. I'll tell him you said that. Yeah. James Carville, thank you so much for coming on Prime Time. And we love the camera angle.
Jesse.
Usually we see you in a hotel room with the iPhone up the nostrils. You look great tonight.
Congratulations to Fox. Y'all spend the extra money, send a good cameraman, and light me up, and even make old Cajun Carville look good.
There
you go.
Guys. Looking good. Tell your wife I said hello. We love you.
This is what it's about. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, doesn't matter. All right, it is country before party. All right, here we go. Of course, we know Hulk Hogan passed away yesterday. Here we go.
CEO and president of the UFC, Dana White, is here. Dana, thanks so much for joining us on this special night.
Thanks for having me.
What did Hulk Hogan mean to you and mean to America?
Yeah, I'm 55 years old, so I grew up right in that, when the WWF was massive and Hulk was becoming a really big star. And I watched the WWF back then, and I was a Hulk Hogan fan.
I mean, I was watching him just as much as you were. I mean, the guy defined my era. You were behind the scenes with him at the RNC. What was that like?
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually on a family vacation. I flew from Italy to Milwaukee, and when I got there, they walked me literally right in to a holding room where they had me and Kid Rock. But on the way to my room, Hulk Hogan grabbed me and asked me if he could talk to me privately for a second. And he pulled me aside, and I'll never forget that conversation. that we had that night. And he was a good man. He was special. He loved the president, and obviously he loved America.
He did, from the bottom of his heart. And he sacrificed so much for America and for the American people, just the toll that his performances take on a body. What does that tell you about him?
Well, I mean, anybody who's in any type of sport that's physical, they're obviously very passionate. They love the sport. And, when you give your body like these guys do, you're doing it because you love it and it's what you want to do for a living. That's why whether you're a fighter, a professional wrestler, a football player, whatever it might be, it's what you choose to do because it's what your passion is.
And the guy was a real man's man. I mean, and in the 80s,
he was a man's man. That is a fact.
That was what it was all about. You had Hogan, you had Tyson, you had Trump, and these guys were just flying off the wall. The flag was flying. What did that era represent?
Listen, I grew up in that era. That's my era. And I think that everybody, whatever era they grew up in is the best era to them. But the 80s were incredible. I mean, and not just them. Guys like Stallone and Arnold, and the list goes on and on of the men of that era. And to me, Reagan. I mean, I can go on and on. It was the best. I say it all the time. I'm really happy that I grew up in the era that I grew up in, the 80s, and I'm really happy that I'm going to be leaving the era that I'm going to be leaving in. I'm very, very happy with where my time laid out in this world.
Well, it's been a great time. You're just a little older than I am, but I think we're on the same path here. In a way, did Hogan and the WWF, did that kind of tee you up at the UFC?
Yeah, I was more of a boxing guy, but to say that the WWE, boxing, and other things of that time, from the Muhammad Ali's to Hulk Hogan, Vince, and Don King, and all the guys who paved the way for me to be where I am today, all had an impact and a lasting impression in my life, and definitely the way that the UFC is today and the things that I've done to build it all have a little piece of all those guys and their businesses.
Well, you're a great promoter. He was an amazing promoter, and I hope tonight there's just going to be millions of people tearing off their shirts or trying to. It's not easy depending on what kind of shirt you have or how strong you are. But Dana White, thank you so much. Click here to
shout out to Hawkstar, man.
Refused to condemn the terror group Hamas. Here with more, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Foreign Policy, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller is with the great Stephen Miller is with us. Good to see you. You have all of this Honduran illegal arrested for child rape in Indiana. You have the feds arresting a twice deported illegal who killed 2 California teens in a high-speed drunk driving crash. And ICE and Homeland Security, they keep doing their job, but the numbers are so overwhelming. This is what really concerns me.
The numbers are staggering, Sean. I mean, every day we find another story of an illegal alien led into the country by Joe Biden and the Democrats who's charged with rape, charged with homicide, charged with battery, charged with kidnapping. And, of course, the recent tragic case where an illegal alien freed by Joe Biden shot a Customs and Border Protection officer cold-blooded right in the face during an attempted robbery. ICE, since Donald Trump has come into office, has already found and arrested almost 6,000 rapists and sex predators from our streets. 6,000, Sean. They've had to go and scour the country, house after house, neighborhood after neighborhood, to find these rapists and predators. And there are hundreds of thousands more that Joe Biden let into this country that still have to be found and removed. That's why it's so important that Congress passed the big, beautiful bill where we can finally hire enough ICE officers and give them enough resources under President Trump's leadership to go and get these predators. But as you mentioned, you have Democrats in sanctuary cities who are refusing to turn over hardened illegal alien criminals, monsters, to ICE for removal. Instead, they're setting them free by the thousands back into our communities to commit crime after crime.
All right. You're the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. You're a great political analyst. You've been with Donald Trump from the very beginning. Put your political pundit hat on for a second here and explain to me the policies of the Democrats that continue to double down on the so-called rights of illegals, including known gang members and violent criminals. How is that politically wise for them? Or doubling down on sanctuary cities and states, or doubling down on being critical of President Trump's policies, or not even being willing to stand for the families of Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungary at the joint session speech? Tell me politically, what is the strategy behind that, and how does that end for them? I don't think it ends well.
Well, I mean, just take the last example that you gave, Sean. I don't think I'll ever forget, for as long as I live, the scene of Senate and House Democrats planted in their seats, refusing to stand for the mom of Jocelyn Nungary, for the parents of Laken Riley, whose kids were brutally murdered by illegal aliens let into the country by Joe Biden. They couldn't even honor these grieving parents suffering from pain that none of us can imagine. The Democrat Party is completely radicalized. They're a party of extremists. They're committed to the rights of illegal aliens over the very lives of American citizens. So, of course, we know and we understand that Democrats want to flood the country with illegals because it gives them extra congressional seats. It changes apportionment. It expands their political power under birthright citizenship. All their kids become automatic citizens. So all of these things Democrats believe will increase their political power, grow the welfare state, grow dependency, strengthen, for example, the power of the teachers union, because millions of illegal aliens are getting free education in public schools. So we understand all of these things. But I think at a deeper level, at a much deeper level, Sean, they hate America. At least they hate America as you and I know it, the America that our founders gave us, and they want to end that America and create a new communist hellhole, and they believe open borders is the way to get there.
Well, thank God these policies are in place. You saw that ICE did round up 243 criminal illegals in a 3-day sweep of Denver alone. That's just Denver alone. You talked about, 6,000 child molesters. I mean, that number to me is astronomical. Why are people, why isn't this a 99 to 1% issue and the 1% being the absolute insane?
Well, so here's another one for you, Sean. On top of all of that, we now believe the true number of missing children that Joe Biden trafficked into the country, the Democrats trafficked into the country, is 450,000. Not 320, wow. 450. The Democrats have committed crimes for which they can never be forgiven, Sean. And Donald Trump is cleaning it up. Donald Trump is cleaning it up right now.
Let me say it again. Stephen, they have blood on their hands. They'll have more blood on their hands. Every murder, every rape, every violent crime. And if there's ever one of these known terrorists, we don't know where they are, that they let into this country unvetted, if there's an attack on our homeland, they'll have a lot more blood on their hands. I hope and pray I'm wrong.
They will, Sean.
I don't think I am.
Shout out to Stevie Miller, man. All right, here we go.
So,
Maxwell.
Former Biden Chief of Staff Ryan Klain getting candid with the GOP lawmakers investigating what insiders knew about Biden's cognitive decline. Klain told them Biden appeared tired and ill at that fateful debate, but they never saw him take Ambien like Hunter Biden claimed. Klain also revealed that Hillary Clinton top advisor Jake Sullivan sounded the alarm on Biden's political viability months before he dropped out. Fox News contributor and GW law professor Jonathan Turley joins us now. Okay, so part of this is, palace intrigue and all that, knowing the backstory there. But from a criminal standpoint, what can they be held liable for?
Well, in terms of the president's conduct, there's really nothing criminal there. except for possible lying to federal officials or acts of perjury. So the greatest threat to many of these former officials is that they are going to give false information or misleading information to Congress. That's probably the reason why some of them have pled the Fifth. But, you know, in terms of the president himself, he's not likely, obviously, facing criminal conduct over his deteriorated state. Also, in terms of White House officials lying about his lack of capacity, that's also not necessarily a crime. It's only when they give false information to Congress, when they give false testimony, that they're looking at a serious potential charge.
So, Professor, I want to get your take on another story, and that's the Epstein files. And it looks like the administration is taking this very serious. When you send the Deputy Attorney General to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, I think they want full control of this. This is what her brother is saying in a statement. She would be putting before a court material new evidence that was not available to the defense at her 2021 trial, which would have had a significant impact on its outcome. Is she going to get something in return? I mean, there's really no motivation to talk with the feds unless she gets some type of deal. What could that deal be?
Right, Lawrence, that's really the key question here. There is a thing called a 5K 1.1 motion that the Justice Department can file for cooperation to reduce a sentence. That's usually when someone is a key witness in the prosecution of a third party. The defense can also go to a court and ask for a reduction based on new evidence, but we haven't seen that. She was convicted and given 20 years. And so the question is, if there's something there, why haven't they revealed it so far? The third possibility is a commutation, more likely than a pardon, from the president maybe at the end of his term, if she is a highly cooperative witness. So all of those are possibilities for Maxwell. The question is what she has. I was surprised in speaking with a member of the legal defense team a couple days ago when they said that reports that she had been previously interviewed by federal and state prosecutors, investigators, was not true.
What?
That she had never been interviewed. Yes, and despite all of these past investigations in this scandal, I was really taken aback by that. So if that's true, she could be an untapped source of new information. The question is, what is that information? Is it just salacious, or is it something more that would reveal criminal conduct?
Jonathan, this is new information for me, and so forgive me, but how do you prosecute someone without doing an interview? I mean, that's like investigative procedure 101.
Well, they're saying that she had interaction, no doubt, in her own prosecution. But when I asked whether she had sat down with investigators, and there were so many investigations on a state and federal level, and I said, are you saying that she was never called forth to give information either in the state or federal systems? And they said no, that she has largely been left untouched by these past investigations. So the question is, what does she still have? And also, why didn't she reveal it before? She had every motivation in the world, if she could trade something, to do so before she was sentenced to 20 years.
Wow. So part two is going to happen today. The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is going to go back to interview her. Now, he said after this interview, he'll decide if they are going to come to the public with the findings of that. So we look forward to hearing that. Jonathan Turley, Professor, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thank you, Lawrence.
It's coming back, y'all. All right, Hunter Biden.
Looking for a leader, right? Could it be Hunter Biden? Listen to this. Remember, he was on this podcast. It was a 3-hour podcast. It's called Channel 5 with Andrew Callaghan. And he was talking about making cocaine. Watch.
What?
The only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally.
That's it?
That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar of cocaine and baking soda. Crack cocaine, in terms of your physical health, is not as dangerous as the situation that you put yourself in to be able to obtain it. The favor that they did for me is I don't have any more secrets.
True.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did I just hear? What is going on right there? This man right here is teaching people how to be literally addicts. What is going on here? And people want to talk about Donald Trump and his kids and his family. Look, we gotta take that back, y'all. We gotta run that back.
Making cocaine. Watch.
The only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally.
That's it?
That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar of cocaine and baking soda. Crack cocaine, in terms of your physical health, is not as dangerous as the situation that you put yourself in to be able to obtain it. The favor that they did for me is I don't have any more secrets.
True. So it is your laptop.
And he has immunity too.
Did he just say it's his laptop? Good. All right, a couple of things.
Oh
Do you
my
realize
gosh.
that I am astounded that the production value of his podcast, they put up the recipe for crack.
Right.
Like, by the way, if you're making crack at home and you're a little confused, he talked a little quick.
And some rap videos of them making crack cocaine on the stove. And he's like, I don't want to tell you how to make crack cocaine, but it's just mayonnaise in a jar and cocaine and baking soda.
But they almost glamorize it, like crack
I know.
destroys
Almost?
lives. It
sounds
destroyed his
fantastic.
life.
You should put it on your cereal.
So Joe Rogan had comments about this. Listen.
Have you seen Hunter Biden describing why crack is so good? It's the greatest crack advertisement of all time.
No.
If crack wasn't terrible for you, this guy makes me want to try crack. I'm not going to. Don't do it. I'm not giving any advice, but I'm saying this guy, like, legitimately, this might be the best advertisement for crack of all time. He's a lot smarter than people give him credit for, I'll tell you that. Like, he's talking, and one of the things he was talking about was why smoking things are so addictive, why smoking cigarettes are so addictive, and, like, the psychology behind it. He's not dumb. That's the best ad for Coke ever.
It's the best.
Best ad for crack ever.
Yeah.
And he could be president.
You know what really annoys me?
president.
I know we make a joke about it, but his dad was responsible for the crime bill, which people that were addicted to crack cocaine, a lot of them went to prison for a lot of them are still in prison as a result of that. But Hunter never had to face those type of consequences. And so he can talk about it in that way. He wrecked lives as a result of this. He wrecked his own life, but he never got any consequences. That's why he can go on a podcast and talk about it that way.
And he just eviscerated all his dad's former allies. He made them officially enemies and then labeled his dad as a drug abuser using Ambien.
Right.
Really? Without a prescription.
And then he walked it back.
Yeah.
And said he didn't know.
Well, I don't think it's a good ad for crack cocaine. I don't want to try crack cocaine because I don't want my life to go in the direction that his life has gone in.
Right. But it does make
ruined
it,
his
that's
life.
the best I've ever heard crack described.
Right.
I mean, it's like, it's pure, it's clean.
Yeah.
You know?
It's okay. It's not that much.
Right.
This is the former president of the United States' son talking about how to make crack cocaine.
Right. I wonder if he segued into leaving his wife for his brother's widow. I don't know if that came up at all.
Gosh.
Well, yeah, and not raising his child as well. I mean, he's been coddled his entire life. And this is what happens. When you have someone that never experiences consequences, they can talk about things
When
in this
you
way.
read his wife's book, I'd heard it was good and I ended up reading it and I felt horrible for her. She went through so much pain for years because of his addiction and didn't treat the family the way that a father should or that a husband should. And she found out about his affair, according to this book. It's her book. She found out about the affair with her sister-in-law because he said, I promised Beau I'd take care of his family. I'd move in with them, take care of the kids. And she's like, well, wait a minute. You've been living there for months and months and months. What about our kids? What about me? And then her children found out and had to tell
He was taking care of her, all right.
her that he was having an affair.
Thank goodness we put that family in our rearview mirror, but I'm sure Joe Biden will write about it because he has a brand new book deal, $9 million. I'm sure he's not going to touch the purity of crack. Right.
Oh my goodness. It's always a relationship. It's always something. Hunter Biden, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right, Emily, thank you. Breaking this hour, a Fox News exclusive. A pair of medical workers who blocked ICE agents from arresting an illegal immigrant in California are now facing criminal charges. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith in New York, and that exclusive reporting from our own Bill Melugin, who we have the pleasure of joining us today. Bill, great to see you.
Hey, Sandra, great to see you as well. Happy Friday to you. I'm Bill Melugin here in Los Angeles. This is America Reports. This is reporting we just got within the last hour or so. The two suspects here now both facing federal obstruction charges, and law enforcement sources confirming to Fox News one of them was arrested earlier this morning.
Yeah, Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt, he's got the very latest for us live right now. Jonathan, what are we learning?
Good afternoon, Sandra. Well, this incident happened on July 8th in Ontario, about 30 miles east of Los Angeles. According to the criminal complaint, ICE officers were conducting, quote, roving immigration-related operations when they followed a truck that made a sharp turn into the parking lot of a surgery center. The officers then, quote, decided to conduct a consensual encounter with the three adult males who were inside the truck. Two of them ran. One, who according to the ICE affidavit was, quote, later identified as an illegal alien, ran into the surgery center, and that's where staff at the center got involved. Two of those staff, Jose de Jesus Ortega and Danielle Nadine de Villa, have now been charged for allegedly interfering and trying to block the ICE agents who followed the illegal immigrant into the surgery center. In the video, they could be seen and heard questioning the ICE agents' actions, what they are doing in the center, and why they are masked. The complaint says de Villa, quote, wedged herself under Officer 1 and the target alien. And it says, quote, Ortega, who was still standing to Officer 1's left, appeared to grab Officer 1's arm and then his vest. Both Ortega and de Villa shouted at the officer, telling him to, quote, get out and to, quote, let him go. Both were warned by the officer that they should not touch a federal agent. The illegal immigrant was eventually arrested and removed from the surgery center. Immigration activists said at the time the surgery staff did nothing wrong.
In no way are they intervening. They're simply exercising the right to privacy. They're exercising the right to know who is in their building. They're exercising the right to know who is in this building with a weapon, right? And I think it's important to note that that what they did is commendable, and it is brave.
The prosecutors obviously disagree with that. Ortega was arrested this morning. De Villa has not yet been found. Sandra?
Okay, Jonathan Hunt with the latest details on all that for us. Thank you. All right, Bill, obviously a lot more to learn here, but thank you to you for your exclusive reporting on all of that.
Yeah, and talking to federal sources, they are actively looking.
This whole issue of ICE and trying to stop ICE is just out of this world.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno, along with Jessica Tarloff, Jesse Waters, Shannon Bream, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Trump is currently overseas in Scotland, but he's also busy cleaning up some major blue city messes back at home. And on two major fronts. The Trump administration is suing New York City and Mayor Eric Adams over its sanctuary city policies. It's in the wake of that horrific migrant crime, two illegal immigrants shooting an off-duty Border Patrol agent in the face. 47 says New York City is just the start.
We're going against a lot of other places, too. We want to bring safety to our cities, but that's going to be a pretty routine filing. With other cities, too. As you know, we've started numerous lawsuits with other cities. We want to bring safety. We've got to get the criminals out, and we're doing it in record numbers.
President Trump is also laser focused on cleaning up the homeless crisis that blue cities have refused to tackle. He just signed an executive order to make it easier for cities and local governments to remove homeless people from the streets, and get them treatment elsewhere. It's a promise he made on the campaign trail.
We have to take care of our homeless. We have to get them out. This is no good for anybody. It's bad for the people who need help, and it's bad for the people of our city, and it's a horrible, horrible way to live. I want to work in partnership with your local leaders, Democrats, pretty much all, and move the severely mentally ill off your streets and back into a place where they can get help and the help that they desperately need.
Shannon, that strikes me as the first proposal that actually protects citizens and also the unhoused, as the libs call them, which up until now, no amount of money they've pushed at the problem has been effective at actually getting those people off the streets.
Yeah, you're right, because we see reaction from the left. Yesterday, it came in very quickly saying the president is targeting disabled and unhoused people. But as you point out, they've spent so much money. What is their plan? Because in many places, California is a great example, it's only gotten worse. You know who also thinks some of this stuff is a great idea? Is Governor Gavin Newsom. Because do you remember when he went out there and he did like the little cleanup with his little polo on and he was out saying, we've got to get these encampments out of here? I think part of that is, first of all, the Supreme Court last year said, you can. Cities and states can get out there and clean this stuff up. But also he's thinking 2028. I got to think cynically, he does not like the optics of people that are strung out and laying around with waste and all kinds of things on the streets of some of the most beautiful cities in his state. So he also agrees with the president on some of this cleanup stuff, but I think he's thinking optics for 2028.
Which, wouldn't that be, Jesse, actually helping the problem? You would think everyone would be on board, and you would think everyone would be on board at the understanding that if you don't play by the rules and follow the law, you'll get your federal funding withdrawn.
Well, they're not on board with the homeless thing because you have these civil libertarians and you have these radical ACLU types that will sue. And they say, you can do whatever you want, wherever you want, with whoever you want it. And it's destroying the city. And these people really were aggressive in litigating these issues for quite some time. And it started in the 70s. And you've seen the permissive attitude, the results of it. And so is it compassionate to let someone slowly kill themselves on a public street corner in front of children? Is that what this society should be? The answer is obviously no. And what the NYPD needs to do in this city and other police precincts need to do it, they need to do mass sweeps and they need to take these people off the streets and they need to put them in asylums or centers in the countryside where they're not tempted by all of the disgusting things that happen in the metropolitan area. The potency of narcotics is so much stronger than it used to be. And you combine that with the population growth in these cities where you got bikes and you have cars, it's really dangerous now. And what is the threshold for involuntary commitment? You're a danger to yourself and you're a danger to others. So if you allow someone to pitch a tent on a city street and shoot heroin and then pass out naked in front of everybody and then wake up, howl at the moon, run into the street, get hit by a car, and the police can't do anything about that, you're asking for a lot of trouble. We deserve more. We are the most technologically advanced civilization, the most powerful, the wealthiest. Why don't we have beautiful cities like Paris? Why don't we have safe cities like Copenhagen? Why aren't we clean like Tokyo? It's not too much to ask.
And that's what I don't understand, Jessica, is that when you look at the issue, the answer to that the homeless deserve better. So Seattle pays $1 million a year per homeless person, California $24 billion, with nothing to show other than apparently the nonprofits lining their pockets because those people are still dying on the streets. They deserve to be housed, to be clean, to be sanitary, to be free of sexual assaults. But I don't feel like I hear anyone talking about those arguments. And I'm curious, when inevitably those people sue the Trump administration, what argument are they going to make when this is helping the homeless?
Well, dozens of states have actually changed their policies in the last few years to make sure that you can actually force more people into treatment. That includes a bunch of blue states, including Oregon, which is one of the more liberal states in the country. So this is in line with the national mood, I guess, about it. And here in New York City, and we talked about the Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny case a lot when it was going on. I think that was, frankly, a really seminal event in the conversation around what do we do with violent members of the homeless population. Jordan Neely, who unfortunately passed away from that interaction, was on the list the top 50 most aggressive homeless people in New York City, was threatening people and had done this repeatedly, which is why I think that public sentiment really ended up on the side of Daniel Penny, who kind of sprung into action in defense of himself and the rest of the people on the train car. Now, I'm not sure how much Donald Trump can actually do in terms of implementing this executive order. He's certainly out there saying this is what I want to happen, but we have our own states and our own state laws and procedures. What I think would help a lot is to talk as well about the cuts to programs. So he's taken $1 billion away from mental health services and treatment centers, et cetera. So if you marry those two things up and you really make it clear that you want to make sure that these programs are funded and also that you will be building more affordable housing, which is the crux of so much of this problem. I'm not talking about the person who Jesse described, probably not a real person, but like the average homeless person that you see who would love to be able to get into an apartment if they could.
They don't, Jessica. They don't.
You say that about everyone. I
because
think
I've interviewed these people, and everybody knows they want to do drugs on the street.
And everyone's a crack addict who just wants to be in an open air
environment. And it's drug addiction, Jessica. It's
I'm
not
not
about
saying
housing.
mental illness. Yeah, that's the thing. Because Greg, so you and I talked about this earlier. That I mean, there's a woefully inadequate amount of state beds for the thousands of people, of those mentally ill. Because the reality is, when we walk up and down 6th Avenue, I'm not seeing people that are just wish for a home. I'm seeing people that are really freaky and really scary, and most importantly, scary to themselves.
Even if the affordability of the house was free, it would be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that are not interested in affordable housing. They're not interested in housing at all. The average homeless person is not the way the media portrays that person to be. Again, Trump does things that liberals will say they don't like, but are secretly grateful for. He did this with the border. He did that with trans and sports, and he's doing it here. Libs don't like doing this stuff because they don't want to lose their status as the compassionate liberal, because they're infected with this, what Gad Saad calls suicidal empathy, employing such destructive, wrong-headed compassion that it actually is at the expense of your own survival, your family's survival, the survival of a culture. You can't have a civil society with pockets of chaos in there. When you look at like homelessness and illegal immigration and urban decay and even our education system, these are huge problems. And the progressive, I guess, machine has had decades and trillions, and they've made it worse in every single place. I would think maybe have a little humility and ask for help. Ask for your parents' help. Those are the Republicans. Maybe consider that something you're doing might be wrong, or maybe just give somebody else a chance to try. It's like the left on these issues, they're like the one pool table at a dive bar, and they're a lousy player who won't give it up. And they just spend hours knocking balls around and nothing goes in, but they won't let anybody else play. I've lived in this city for 20 years, and we talk about the mentally ill and the drug addicted. That is incredibly real. I deal with that every day. A woman nearly got murdered around the corner from my apartment. I had a guy shot dead 2 doors down from me. I don't know who did that. I don't even know if they found the guy. If you're not convinced by this, by women being pushed in front of the subway by insane men who are not, in fact, insane, why did they choose somebody weaker, a woman? They never push a man. They only push a woman. So that's not insanity. They understand that they are more safe if they choose a weaker target. If you can't even be convinced by that, then you are the problem. But there is the other part of this, and that nobody wants to talk about because it makes you sound so cold. There are people who aren't crazy living on the streets. They've gamed the system. They get free stuff. They steal stuff. They hang out in Washington Square Park. They buy their drugs. They're there. If the weather's nice, they're there. They screw up small businesses. They sleep on your street. They move. Unlike the sick, they deserve no pity. And when a tourist comes in there and gives them money, it drives me insane, because I want to go to where you live and I want to indulge a panhandler on your front lawn and see how you like it. Dude, the homeless industrial complex lives off these people, and it is time to stop. And we don't care if it makes us mean, because that's the only form of compassion there is.
Jessica, what did you give that homeless person the other day?
Yes. Oh, my God.
Tell the audience what you gave.
A salad.
A radicchio salad.
Jesse,
A salad. Thank you, Dominic Barker.
That year, right now, this year, is 2025, but that's not stopping Democrats from eyeing the next big battle, as Axios reports, quote, the 2028 Democratic presidential primary is set to be the most wide open field in a generation. It could also be, prepare yourselves, the longest presidential contest ever. Dozens of ambitious Democrats are looking at 2028 and thinking, why not me? Why not me indeed? Hunter Biden is getting 2028 buzz for dropping F-bombs in a recent interview. And Stephen Colbert, well, soon to be out of a job, so some Dems are saying, why not him?
The Democrat primary in 2028, Kamala versus Colbert, you're voting for?
Colbert.
Colbert.
Yeah, we have to.
He could be president. How about that? How about that?
That kid,
How about that? He could. Like, no Hunter Biden, after all he'd been through, look, we all his dirty laundry's all out there. We all see it. But smarter than his dad when his dad was young, and he was a crackhead.
Okay, how about the former runner-up herself, former Vice President Kamala Harris, giving less than 2 minutes of pre-tape remarks as a headliner of the Voters of Tomorrow Summit in D.C., featured a collection of interesting characters giving some tips on how Democrats can stay relevant. Here is a little sample.
So keep building your political power. Keep building community. Keep building coalitions. Keep challenging the status quo.
My name is Jess. I go by she, her, they, them pronouns, y'all. Right now we're in 2025, and obviously we know we're on the brink of climate catastrophe.
Our diversity is our strength.
What the fuck is up? Let's go! I can't see anything out of this mask. I'm gonna be real with y'all.
Okay, Jesse, they are focused on climate change and pronouns and furries, apparently. Is that going to win people back?
Was that a panda?
It would look like a panda.
Okay. And was that Kamala?
At the first part of
Because that didn't look
she
like
was not
Kamala.
in
I
the panda
noticed something
costume.
different about her face.
She looked thinner.
Is she on Ozempic? Because she looked like she had Ozempic
At first I thought it was
face.
lighting.
Do you know what I mean?
I thought
Am
it was
I wrong?
lighting. What's wrong with?
I could be wrong.
Don't be ashamed of Ozempic.
No, but maybe she's working
She
out.
definitely looks different than she used to look.
Maybe
but
she's working out. Maybe it's the camera angle.
I want to talk about Hunter because Hunter can't get a real job. And so when you can't get a real job, you do what people who can't get real jobs do. You run for office. And he's got to avenge his father's legacy. And he's got his brother, too. His brother was supposed to be president, and then he could do it. The question is, so how is Hunter different than Joe Biden? Well, he's pro-Ukraine, he's open border, and he's soft on China. The only differences I see is just the other day he says he has no idea what it means to be trans. But actually, I think Joe Biden doesn't know what trans is either. The positives for him, he was in the Navy. It doesn't matter if he was in the Navy for a week. He was still in the Navy. He also can raise money. Now, he raises money from foreigners. He's going to have to do it from Americans this time, but he's shown that ability. He's a new father of several different children, and he's a recovering addict, so you definitely get sympathy. And he is a tabloid phenom, AKA a sexual deviant, and the media loves that. And I could see him coming in and slaying the establishment very similarly to the way Donald Trump did in 2016. Now, I have two recommendations for other random people to run for the Democrat nomination. Chris Cuomo, I think he could do it. And Clooney, my sources in the Democrat establishment say Clooney has aspirations to be president. And I think they both could do well.
Okay, but did you see how Hunter went after Clooney? That was F-bomb Express.
Put him on the
That's
debate
what I'm
stage
saying.
and
Let's
let
get the
him
debate
hash
stage
it out.
going. Greg, is it insulting to everyone's intelligence to even be talking about Hunter as the potential future president? Or you think Dems would legitimately consider all
Well,
options?
initially I found Hunter refreshing. I even said that. But Victor Davis Hanson made a good point. Since Dana's not here, I'll make references. I enjoyed hearing what he has to say, but he's not saying what he doesn't want to say. Meaning he'll talk about all the stuff that is fun, but he won't talk about seducing his brother's wife and hooking her on drugs. He won't talk about the pardon, the tax cheating, lying on the gun form, the sex workers, the casual disdain of Asians, the way he placed blame on illegals. There's a lot of did I say the pardon? I think I did. There's a lot of things there that he hasn't talked about. And once he talks about that stuff, I think the bloom will come off the rose. I want to talk about the Kamala thing because she looked awful. Look, I As Harold Ford says, I call balls and strikes, and that's oh man. But anyway, maybe it was the lighting. I don't know. But there's an interesting contrast between this youth summit and TPUSA, Talking Points. I spoke there last, was it 2 weeks? Turning Point.
Yeah. Or they just spew talking points, so I understand why you...
What is it, Turning Point? What did I say, Talking Points? Whatever, I went there and I did it for free. Kidding. But when I was there, everybody at Turning Point you've been there.
Yeah.
Obviously young, healthy, happy, optimistic, professional. It's like they know all the variables that one needs to create the potential for a good life. It may not guarantee success, but being presentable, being healthy, being civil, and working hard at least puts the odds in your favor that you're going to you got all the bases covered for a good life. Then you look at this with the furries and the body positives. They begin in a hole, and it's the hole of victimhood. They sit there thinking that this world is rife with racism, sexism, ableism, climate alarmism. That's their entire identity. So they don't see themselves as winners, but victims, the oppressed, losers. Nobody wants to help people like that. Nobody wants to hire people like that. If you want to go to that thing, you're going to stay in that thing.
Well, Emily, this is one of the areas that Democrats had a huge attrition with, which was the younger voters, a huge drop-off between 2020 and 2024. This event is supposed to be about bringing them all back. And the voices that seem to be getting the most attention with young voters are very progressive. We saw that here in the mayoral primary for Democrats. But that's not, people would say, the rest of the party or the rest of the real world. If you're catering on these specific issues to young people, do Democrats risk alienating the more establishment, centrist kind of Democrats? They need them to win as well.
And I think they're also focusing on the wrong group of young people. I mean, David Hogg was the one that said, guys just want to have a good time and not be blamed for it, right? I paraphrase. And they're not doing that. They're purposely currying favor with the pandas and the weirdos and all of those things. So there's energy around creating signs and posters and glitter walks on college campuses, but there's a whole movement actually that they're totally denying. I think the fact that we're even talking about Hunter and Stephen Colbert, it just goes to show the left's trajectory. It's like an open mic night instead of an actual serious consideration of what their party needs and acknowledgement of what legislatively this country needs. If they really cared about the policies that I talk about, and I'm not even talking about the extreme radical and the anti-Semitism and the rejecting our allies and everything like that, if they just cared about the centrist, normal Democrat principles that they have in the past claimed to purport, then they would be buoying up current legislators. They would be buoying up current governors and those in office instead of trying to find a grab bag. Who's available? Who's the latest hot one? I mean, who's next? Hunter Biden, he denies a child. Stephen Colbert, he is a failed comedian. And somehow those guys are going to go not only head to head with Trump, but head to head with the American people who executed that mandate and stood up and said, yeah, no more. And I find, by the way, the fact that these guys who are obsessed with echo chambers on the right are now stealing the microphone of all of the podcasts and the right-wing arenas that they used to scoff at and mock. I find it so rich.
Well, they were very effective. But as you look and try to get ready for the future, Jessica, there's a lot of questions about why Democrats haven't done a full autopsy on the past. New York Times talking about that they're not going to really look at Biden and Harris. They want to look at super PACs and other kinds of things. Kim Strassel has a great piece in the Wall Street Journal saying, people are referring to this, saying it's like going to a steakhouse and then reviewing the salad, if you're not going to actually look at what happened.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know how good the autopsy is, but I don't know any Democrat who isn't spending all of their time actually focused on how we ended up in this position and Biden's decision not to run, consuming all of the books that have been coming out about this, understanding or trying to have a better understanding of, who was actually part of the inner circle, was this conscious? Why did he do the debate? I don't think that we are ignoring what happened, frankly. I can't speak to that autopsy in particular, but for the Young Voters Summit and the furries issue, actual Democrats are focused, to your point, on our strong bench of Democratic governors, some of the most popular governors in the country.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all want to keep going? Let me see if we can keep going. All right, let's see. I need to get some rest. Get up here with the kid.
Democrats threw a party today and no one showed up.
What the is up? Let's go! So some ground rules. I don't think that this will be super necessary because you all seem really cool, smart, and hot. Who the are we? And why are we here in a panda head? I also have had a long-term feud with former presidential candidate Marianne Williamson because she sucks. Memes change people's minds. So what's a meme, huh? Come on, people. Look alive.
After the panda, there was a really special guest.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it to the person who's giving us special remarks.
Hello, voters of tomorrow. I want to thank you for everything you all are doing to organize, empower, and advocate for Gen Z. We must be intentional about lifting up our young leaders and encouraging your ambition. Your generation has grown up on the front lines of so many crises, from COVID and the climate crisis to gun violence and mental health. You know what's at stake, and you are not waiting for someone else to figure it out.
Technical difficulties aside, that right there, if you didn't recognize her, was Kamala Harris. She's been on a siesta and she looks tan and rested or something. The chair of the DNC saw this and said, yep, the party's dead.
There's no doubt that, we have work to do. When you hit rock bottom, there's only one direction to go, and that's up. And that's what we're doing.
The chair of the party just said Democrats are at rock bottom. At least he's honest. Where are all the great Democrats fighting for democracy? I thought democracy was under attack. Tampon can't party. He's been goofing off in the wilderness in a bathing suit. Hips don't lie. Hakeem never looks like he's having any fun. And he talks like he's playing Lincoln Logs with words. Kami Mandami got everybody excited, but then he flew back to Africa and we started looking at government-run grocery stores and all the shelves were empty. Can't have a party without food. Are there any Democrats man enough to lead?
My biggest problem with Democrats is it's like everything they're saying now, you should have been saying 2-3 years ago. Like we've been saying Democrats was cowards. So yes, y'all should have been toughened up.
The only guy who knows how to party's Hunter. But he's talked so much trash that Chuck Todd wants him off the invite list.
I have a real problem with the folks that are booking him. If you've chosen to book Hunter Biden, you've chosen to book spectacle. I don't like it when politicians use the media or campaigns or voters for their own therapy. I think people should use therapy when they need it. I have in the past. I'm a huge advocate of it. But let's not do it in public. Try to deal with your issues amongst yourself.
And with Obama on the ropes and the big guy's ghostwriter working on his memoirs, that means Mamala's in charge. Carville says maybe the third time's a charm. Do you really think you should run another woman? You guys are 0-2 with women.
I don't know. Democratic voters are going to decide that. I don't think a person's gender, we're going to nominate women going forward, and as we well should. All right? I don't have anything, but what I want, if it's a male or a female, I want them to be able to talk about things and communicate in a very direct way.
Carville called his party a cracked out clown car. And just because you're loud doesn't mean it's a good time. The squad's on the front lawn trying to get people to look.
This is all for you. Let the food in.
The DNC chair was wrong. Now they've hit rock bottom. Wait, there's more.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Say the words. Say the words. Say them. Say them out loud. Say them again.
Grown women are screaming DEI and banging on pots and pans. And grown men are dressed up as furries and photoshopping their hips. The media is now asking Democrats, if you could go back in time, is there anything you'd do differently?
Do you have any second thoughts? Any second thoughts about what happened last summer or with
I don't have any second thoughts, but I do have a second thought about the Republicans. If they want to measure mental acuity or sanity, they ought to look to their own president, because the president of the United States, who was asked one question and answers by saying President Obama is guilty of treason, he is not of sane mind.
Nancy does not look well, which is weird because her portfolio was up 54% last year. Beat all the top hedge funds on Wall Street. Why the long face, Nance? Her adopted son, Gavin Newsom, the grape grower, keeps telling us how scared he is. Why is Gavin always so scared?
Do you think he's going to try and stay in power?
When people
beyond his term?
close to Donald Trump, send the governor of California a hat that says Trump 2028, they're not fucking around.
Now, if I were a Democrat, all I would be talking about is Epstein, because you don't have anything to say about anything. But Democrats better be careful what they wish for.
People should really focus on how well the country's doing, or they should focus on the fact that Barack Hussein Obama led a coup. I have nothing to do with the guy. You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to the island.
Democrats predicted Trump would jack up inflation, cause a recession, a civil war, and World War III. But inflation's tame. The stock market just hit a record high, and we're signing peace and trade deals.
We had the best 6 months ever. We're now heading to Scotland. I'm meeting with the Prime Minister of UK. We have great economic numbers. The deal with Japan is amazing. Those numbers are great. I mean, the kids actually just said, very, very cute, actually. I walked up, they said, sir, there's too much winning. Our country was a dead country. It was a dead country 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And don't you feel it?
This isn't just the best party in town. With Trump, we might be leaving with a goodie bag.
We have so much money coming in. We're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in from tariffs that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
Tariff stimmies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you. God bless you. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. Believe in Almighty God. God is the greatest. Thank you for being here. I got to give a shout out to esteemed members, Dr. Luke, the GOAT, Ellie. Thank you. Ingram, Sandra, God bless you, Sandra. Shout out to Ringmaster. And of course, our moderators, C. Shelley, God bless you, C. Shelley. Shout out to Zyra's Garden. Shout out to Zyra's Garden. Shout out to Mr. Busky, God bless you. Man, everybody, Enders. Everybody, God bless you guys. CRXR, God bless you. Derek, I don't know if he's here, but God bless you, man. I am exhausted. Ooh. God is the greatest. It's a blessing to be here, to be alive, to have air in your lungs, to be able to speak, to be able to, go outside, have conversations with people. It is a blessing. If you can, go outside, man. Have a conversation with people. It is refreshing. All right. With that being said, I got to give a shout out to law enforcement officers. I got to give a shout out to Ice Baby, veterans, the military personnel. Thank you. Without you, there will be no homeland. And of course, don't forget, life is hard, but God is your strength. America is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Shout out to the fathers. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Shout out to the mothers as well. And with that being said, your boy gotta go. It is your boy Genesis, and you are currently tuned into The Genesis Show. See you soon.